Welcome everybody to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. It is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Huge shout out to all of you guys. Thank you guys for listening once again. We have another week of podcasting, I guess, here to do. I want to send a big shout out to Los Anaya. That intro was their great music, and again, big shout out to them. Lots of fights to talk about. I'm glad I finally get to do a podcast. I've been trying to do it, but somehow people around the neighborhood keep popping fireworks. I mean, that's got to be the most un-American thing to do. I mean, it's I get it. The 4th of July, you got to pop fireworks. I mean, it's what we do. 5th of July, you got some leftovers. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Come on, guys. Put them away. Put them away. But anyways, again, like I said, we got a lot of fights to talk about. First things, again, we got Diego De La Hoya fighting. We got Diego De La Hoya fighting Ronnie Rios. Big card at StubHub, affordable card. So if you haven't been at any fight that's at all this year, you're from Southern California, this is a fight to go to. Again, it is StubHub or Dignity Center, whatever you want to call it. You get to tailgate and whatnot, but we'll get to that in a second. First things first. Golden Boy and Canelo have not announced who Canelo is going to fight. There's been a lot of rumors of who he's going to fight, who he's not going to fight, who should he fight. And again, we're still here with our hands crossed. I kind of wanted to wait to see if Monday they released anything. Tuesday they released anything. Right now it's about just a little over 10:30. And again, they still haven't released anything. What's the holdup? I have no idea. I know there's a lot of egos involved. There's a lot of he said, she said, a lot of leaked information that's getting released to the public or to that internet media, but not necessarily an opponent yet. It's getting kind of late. Usually by now there's already a press tour involved and whatnot. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. But the clear choices, of course, was Golovkin and Kovalev in such a weird way. I really don't understand. Maybe that's why I'm not a matchmaker and whatnot. Maybe that's why I haven't gotten a job in boxing. But I don't understand the fascination with Kovalev. First of all, again, it's Golovkin, Kovalev, Boo Andre, of course, Deverenchenko. It's an option. According to some, DAZN has given Canelo 2 choices, and those 2 choices have been Golovkin and Kovalev. Look, with Golovkin, it's clear that they don't want to do that fight. Canelo does not want to do that fight. He's already done it twice. I don't think he feels that Golovkin is entitled to the fight yet. I get it. It's some bad blood there, but specifically bad blood outside of the ring. But I'm kind of on Canelo's side on this side. Because I think Golovkin, even if on paper, like you said, a lot of people say he won. Even if he has that fan base, legit fan base, but the fact of the matter is the hardware isn't there. He needs to fight. He needs to, let's just say that they both lost their last fight. We know they didn't. Canelo's the one walking around with the belts. But they have to both build up to the situation, which is Canelo GGG3. Now, in my opinion, after their fight, it was like, okay, let's start off from scratch. Let's build each other. Let's build our images again. And we work from there to make another mega fight. Now, Canelo went, of course, got a gimme fight, got a highlight reel versus Rocky Fielding. Great. He got a knockout. We all know that was an easy fight. He got a mythical belt. Great. And then he went and fought the legitimate guy, a guy that a lot of people thought that had beaten Golovkin. And Daniel Jacobs, great. He got that done with. It obviously wasn't exciting because due to their contrasting styles. But nonetheless, Canelo went and got it done and got a new belt on top of the ones he already had. So I think Golovkin was in that same path. Golovkin went and fought Rolls. Golovkin now needs to fight a legitimate opponent. Not necessarily somebody who's going to look good against, but somebody that has what they all really want, which is a belt. and I think that guy is Boo Boo Andre, whatever his name is. Um, Now, that fight, I understand why it's being pushed back, and I think the perfect time for it is going to be May of 2019. Again, I agree with Canelo there. His view of getting a guy like Kovalev, Sergey Kovalev, I can't. I mean, look, the fan in me wants to see it because you see blood. You're gonna see Canelo get fucked up. In my opinion. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe his handlers know what he can do versus a taller fighter. But the fact of the matter, and I've been wrong all this year, so again, maybe Canelo does whoop his ass. But the fact of the matter is that Kovalev is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, most light heavies cannot take that punch from Kovalev. Yes, Kovalev lost to Andre Ward, but in no way, shape, or form is Canelo Andre Ward. Not only skill wise, and again, not knocking Canelo because I think he's a great fighter, but remember, Andre Ward was a skilled 168 pounder that ended up going up in weight and fought at 175. But the size, their physicalities matched up. Canelo, when he fought Rocky Fielding, you could see the apparent size difference. Canelo has a frame of a welterweight, if not of a 140 pound of a light welterweight. He has a very muscular frame, which means he's a much smaller guy. Technically, again, the bone structure is much smaller. So for him to even fight at middleweight, I think, in my opinion, it's a stretch. You saw the fight, in my opinion, if physically he was a big middleweight or a sizable middleweight, he would have been able to convincingly just go through Jacobs, but he didn't. The size isn't there for Canelo. So, again, I don't see Canelo going through that jab of Kovalev. Look, Kovalev has a hell of a jab, has a great stick that he could put in his face. If Kovalev really wanted to, at least in my opinion, guys, if Kovalev really wanted to, he could make this fight a very boring fight, jab Canelo to death, and then he'll go on with his life and his millions. Maybe it's a boring fight, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that he has the ability to not let a guy like Canelo in. So what makes folks think that he could win? What makes Canelo's team think he could win? I mean, do they think they're going to be able to get in there sort of like they did with Golovkin? Again, and Golovkin is a hell of a puncher. Now imagine a 175 pound Russian coming at you just with a simple jab. I mean, not even nothing fancy. I'm not asking anything fancy out of Kovalev, but with a simple with a simple jab, this fight is his. I don't see Canelo getting in there. I don't see Canelo getting near him. So I personally do not understand the fascination with Kovalev. It looks, in my opinion, from what I've been listening to, from what I've been hearing, it looks like that is going to be the fight to make. From my understanding, Zona again gave Canelo two clear choices, and that was Kovalev and Golovkin. Whether we take some or not, that's I don't understand. If that's the ultimatum, that's the choices. Personally, even if it goes against everything I believe, I think a guy like Canelo should take the Boo Boo Andre fight. I think it's even before his last fight, I would think, you know what, Boo Boo's gonna move a lot, and Canelo's not gonna be able to catch him. But after seeing the footwork that Boo Boo presented on his last fight, I think it's a very winnable fight for Canelo. So that's not even a question whether he'll win. I know that the fight will be a stinker, but that's what the zone has. That's what they've been pushing on their platform as well. So if they want a stinker, they want a fight just because it's in house. I mean, do it. But in my opinion, if I was Canelo's handlers, I would personally stay away from Kovalev. Now, am I going to watch it if it gets made? Absolutely, because I'm very intrigued on what they see from Kovalev. In my opinion, I see the same scenario as Mikey versus Spence, a guy that just not going to be allowed to get in, unless for some reason Kovalev is really shot, or Kovalev it's severely weight drained, and they try to make some sort of catch weight at about 170 pounds, which the money situation that they're talking about, it almost seems like in my opinion that's the case because they're being hung up on the money. If they're being hung up on that money that much, that means they might be asking a lot out of Kovalev, which again means weight drainage, second day rehydration and whatnot. So yeah, I think, in my opinion, if that's the case, again, I'm very against the Kovalev fight. I don't like it. I think it's a fight where Canelo's going to get hurt. And is it worth it for Golden Boy just to make a fight and please DAZN? Again, I get it. DAZN's the one providing the money. But the fact of the matter is, fuck them. Fuck them. Do what's right for your fighter. Give him the Boo Boo Andre fight. I think the Kovalev fight is way more dangerous than Golovkin, and if that's the case, if you really don't have a choice but to either fight Golovkin or Kovalev, in my opinion, I would just go for Golovkin. Push it a couple of months because I think, in my opinion, it's too short notice to really push the fight. I mean, we have 2 months to go. We have about 9 weeks for the September date. Push it. I mean. And go from there. So, yeah, again, that's my thoughts. Again, if the only two choices are Golovkin and Kovalev, go with Golovkin. If there's some wiggle room, do the Boo Boo fight. Even if the fight's gonna be Boo Boo, at least you got some bone to chew on from there. Other than that, let's talk about the fights that we actually have this weekend. Guys, we get to tailgate at Dignity Center. I'm not going to tailgate. I'm honestly getting too old for this shit. But you guys should tailgate. It's a beautiful Home Depot Center, formerly known as StubHub Center. And now it's the Dignity Health Center. I don't know where the fuck that comes from. But that's what it is. It's in Carson, California. Golden Boy has a stacked card. We get to see the likes of Joet Gonzalez versus Manuel Avila. Again, good little fight. You get to see Alexis Rocha, again, another good, solid contender that Golden Boy has. And of course, we get to see his big brother, Ronnie Rios versus Diego De La Hoya. We get to see the goofy, always tall, always entertaining Ray Vargas versus Kameda. And who else do we get to see? I mean, it seems like a small card. On BoxRec, there's about 6 bouts. I was just told that there might be 8. I don't know who else is fighting. But let's talk about the card, because I think Southern California hasn't gotten as many cards, and I think we've almost been okay with it, because the fact of the matter is that, I mean, everything is streamed. Everything is so accessible to watch on your couch. So why move? I mean, at least legitimate cards. Again, we got DAZN, we got ESPN Plus, we got apps like War Media. Big shout out to Eric Molinari and War Media. But we got all these devices that makes it a lot easier to watch these fights instead of going to a live event. But the fact of the matter is, there's really nothing like a live event. I've had some of the best times of my life, boxing-wise, at StubHub or now Dignity Center. And I don't see... And no, I almost feel like I need to go to one of these cards. Again, first up, like I said, Joel Gonzalez, good little fighter. Out of the... If I'm not mistaken, he's out of the... he is out of the Espinosa management. Joe's a little beast. I think he's been very low-key, but he's being developed into what, in my opinion, should be a champion soon in the next 2-3 fights. And he's not fighting any pushover. I think Golden Boy is doing right by matching these guys tough and matching some of their some of their own talent and doing this in house instead of just going and getting any random Joe Blows. He's fighting Manuel Avila, 23-1, solid fighter. I think his only loss was to Jojo Diaz. So look, that's an understandable loss. Again, I don't take anything away from him. I did see Frankie Espinosa Jr. Did tweet something about that. He does not believe Manuel Avila, will make it the distance. I don't know. Maybe is it smoke? Does he just believe in his guy that much? I don't know. I'm interested. I want to see it. I mean, he's a solid kid. Again, every time I see Joet, he puts on a hell of a performance, and why not? So I'm really excited about that card. Again, Alex Rocha is fighting what it seems like Berlin Abreu. Again, 14-2 kid. Again, not a bad record. Again, these guys are not being put in light. Alexis Rocha, in my opinion, he's coming about. He's actually a legitimate welterweight, and that's because everybody knows that's pretty much boxing's favorite division. And Golden Boys has two solid guys at that weight. Now we got like I said, Alexis Rocha, and then we got Virgil Ortiz that just is transforming into a 147 pounder. I know the kid, he's a big kid, and I don't think he's going to be able to ever go back down at 140 pounds. So the future looks bright for Golden Boy with those two kids. So again, Alexis Rocha, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Ray Vargas, I know it's a main event, but let's talk a little bit about Ray Vargas. Ray Vargas, interesting individual because I don't seem to understand how a guy of that stature is able to make the weight. I was going through BoxRec earlier, and it says he's 5'7". There's no way he's 5'7". I've been close to that guy. He's closer to my height, and I'm 6'3". The kid is huge. To make that type, to make super bantamweight, I mean that's ridiculous. I don't know how he makes it. He's obviously an undefeated guy. He's gone through a string of decent fights. He actually fought Ronnie Rios, which again is we'll talk about a little later. I mean, he fought Ronnie Rios. He's fought Oscar Negrete, and Oscar Negrete, in my opinion, I thought he was just going to go in there and get run over, but in my opinion, that was probably his best fight to date. Even in the loss, again, I'm not a big fan of the guy either, but I'm not going to take that away from him. I think that was Oscar Negrete's best performance. He fought Azad Hassanovic. Again, monster little guy. Again, he's only 14-2. Again, he's always been a bull in the ring. And even in his last fight versus Manzanilla, again, unanimous decision win. But again, tough fights that again, it just doesn't. I just don't understand how he makes that weight. I don't know if he's struggling because again, versus Manzanilla, the fight was a little tougher than expected. Again, clearly won the fight. At least in my opinion, I thought he won. I know a lot of people were going the other way, but I thought he won. Versus Kameda, I don't know, man. I think Kameda might actually get rid of him. I think it's time for him to go up in weight. And I personally think that's it. Kameda, from my understanding, fought him right before they went pros. They had some sort of a tournament, and I think he lost on that fight. But the fact of the matter is that I think the time is up for this kid. So let's hope for a good fight. I don't think he's ever given us a boring fight. Ray Vargas. I mean, he comes from the school of Nacho Beristain, very hands up, very forward. Very gives you that sideways look, and the little weird feints and counter punching that Nacho's has been famous for. So again, are we expecting a good fight? Absolutely. Does he get to take his title home? I almost always go against this kid. I'm gonna do it again. I think, in my opinion, Kameda takes the fight from him. But let's talk about the main event, because main event as two young fighters that I've been fond of for many years. Ronnie Rios, I remember. I'm not sure if it was Telefutura or whatnot, but um, he's come up. He's always been a solid fighter. I remember Frank Espinosa had him for a while. He managed him. I think he did a hell of a job in managing him. I'm sorry if I'm still fighting a flu. His first loss was versus Robinson Castellanos. Again, Robinson Castellanos, if we all remember, I mean, he's one of those road warriors, beast of a kid. I think I was there because I think it was at Fantasy Springs. I'm not really sure. I'll check BoxRec. But nonetheless, again, hell of a fighter. He beat the guys like Velez, a real faded Efren Esquivias. And again, then he runs into Ray Vargas and takes that loss again. Like we all know, Ronnie, hell of a fighter, hell of a warrior. Made it to the end of the fight, and that was it. That was what, his second out. Then he went and supposedly was supposed to have a homecoming versus the crazy A versus Azat Hassanovic. It was in Costa Mesa. It was at the hangar. It's everybody's favorite spot. You actually get to go outside and smoke a cigar or watching fights. They put the big screen on. Great event. Great venue. He ended up getting knocked out by Hassanovic, Hovasian, whatever his name is. Hazat. Crazy Eight. And that fight, again, I don't like holding anybody's losses against them because, look, Hazat's a hell of a fighter. Ronnie always was, but it almost like it showed me that Ronnie's legs weren't necessarily under him to lose to Azad. Again, Azad's a monster. I'm not taking nothing away from him. He's a hell of a fighter, but the legs aren't necessarily there. So, in my opinion, and again, I'm not knocking Ronnie. I think he's a hell of a fighter. But he might be in for a little more than he could chew. Again, he had a comeback win in April. Now he gets De La Hoya, which again is a hell of a little fighter. Now let's talk a little about De La Hoya, because De La Hoya has been on a look right from the get go. Look, he had a great amateur pedigree, so the kid could fight. There's never been a question if the kid could fight. The kid could fight. Kid kids obviously has an extensive amateur pedigree. I remember when I first saw this kid, I wasn't very sure of what I was looking at because he seemed very amateurish. As a matter of fact, I saw his first fight. It was in Las Vegas. I believe it was for the Canelo Mayweather fight weekend. I think he fought like Thursday or Friday, something like that. And I remember it was at a ballroom at MGM. And he looked weird. He looked odd because I remember he was even matched with a guy that was like, he already had 10 fights or so to his in his record. Fact of the matter, he went in there. He went and got the TKO. I think it was the second round or something like that. But he got the job done. But I was a little iffy about it. Then, of course, he starts working with Joel Diaz. Joel Diaz is a hell of a technician. I think he's one of the best guys I've ever seen work the mitts for any fighter. I think I think he almost reinvented how do you do mitts, how do you emulate a fighter in there when doing mitts, and he from then I think Diego just became a sharpshooter, smart guy. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but he's very sharp in there when he punches. Again, he's had a great career thus far. His biggest problem, and I don't know if it's just that the name weighs too much for him, but is honestly been making weight. There's every time that I've seen him fight, or he's fought, there's always an issue with the weight. And it hasn't been, once or twice. It's been about 4 or 5 times, at least from what again, don't quote me on this, but I think it's been about 4 or 5 times, probably 4. The fact of the matter is, look, he's notorious for that. He's notorious for that weight. Are his skills great? Absolutely. His best display of skills were when he fought Randy Caballero. Again, Randy Caballero, I believe, was undefeated when he fought Diego. It was a little local rivalry in the desert. But that's the fight that said, okay, if this kid actually fights, if this kid actually follows a legit camp and doesn't just have to, drain himself and cut weight, he can whoop some ass. He blew out Randy Caballero. Randy Caballero looked like a dead man. I don't know what was going on. I mean, personally, I would love to ask Randy, what the fuck happened in that fight? Because he seemed like a dead man walking. I don't know if Diego was just that skilled or something was going on with Randy, but at least based on what's on paper, based on what I've seen, what my eyes seen, that's when I said, okay, this kid is really the goods, and he needs to be fast forwarded into a belt, because maybe that's what's going on. He needs to find that quality opposition, that legitimate opponent, because this kid is ready to explode. He needs to be hyped for a fight, and if he, Diego de la Hoya, gets as hyped as he did for Randy Caballero, I think the fight versus Ronnie Rios is just gonna pump him up. Diego has to know that Ronnie is one. I get it. He's been a stablemate, but he's seen him fight. He obviously is a very, very sharp shooter, sharp kid. But he has to know that beating a guy like Ronnie Rios only makes it that much easier for his management company or for Golden Boy to now go after those belt holders. I mean, of course, there's Vaquero that's out there. There's local kid, again, I always do this, can't come to mind. Danny Roman, I'm sorry. That's again a champ as well. Those are the names that are out there for a guy like Diego de la Hoya. Can he beat him? I think so. Is he willing to make the sacrifices and make that weight class? Sure, I hope so. No, I think, in my opinion, this fight is a tell-all fight. We need to see what Diego can do. I think in his last fight, which was supposed to be, it was in Monterrey, he came very prepared, but he was very disappointed because this ended up in a no contest. There was some sort of nasty gash, and I believe the fight was on DAZN, if I'm not mistaken. But it ended up in no contest. Diego was beating his kid to the punch for whatever round it went, and he couldn't get that decisive victory. Again, a no contest. That's kind of fucked up. But the fact of the matter, he has it's the time to redeem himself. I think he can do it. Again, I really like both his kids. That's why sometimes it's a bit hard to watch these fights or make a solid prediction, because you really like both these guys. You really know what both these guys can do. But I think Diego, having the fresher legs, being the sharper kid, I think he has the ability to stop Ronnie. I would say maybe about in the 8th round, maybe even 7th. Again, the fight will be that one-sided, in my opinion. I hope it's not. I hope they give us a hell of a war, but I think it's going to be a one-sided fight where they're going to have to stop the fight for Ronnie Rios. Guys, I ran it out for a little bit. I really hope I get to do another podcast, because I want to do a podcast once the Canelo opponent gets decided. The same thing goes for Golovkin. You guys know I'm a big fan of both, and I really can't wait to see what's going to come about in whether it's September, October, or whenever Canelo and Golovkin decide to pick their fights. With that said, guys, again, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the MrBoxingguru podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, y ahí nos vemos al rato, cabrones. Saludos. Hasta luego. Que yo ya vengué a mis viejos. Dicen que lo fusilaron. Otros que se fue muy lejos.